Tonight, Varginha, Brazil, 1996. Lights in the sky, a UFO crash, and not one, but two particularly pungent and possibly lethal extraterrestrials captured by the Brazilian military. And after that, a very special treat, a listener's account of their encounter with a malicious entity. Stay tuned. I can't with your fucking face. Why are you talking but no noise is coming out? There you go.
I mute myself when you do that stuff.
All right, here we go. Hello there, friends, and welcome to the Paranatural Podcast. My name is Ben.
And I'm Matthew Perry.
You're Jake. And we are so glad to have you with us tonight as we talk about some stinky little alien guys encountered in Brazil and follow it up with a story from one of our amazing listeners. Jacob, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I am phenomenal. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Actually, I'm doing pretty damn good.
Good.
Kind of excited about our stories tonight. Got good alien story, listener story.
Hey, if they think that's good, they should head over to the Patreon because I got a doozy too.
There you go. Patreon.com/Paranatural-Podcast. $5 a month. You get some extra content and, our undying affection, I guess is the good word for it.
If I see you in person, I will pet you.
As hard or gentle as you like. That's not true. I make no claims to petting anyone in any way, shape, or form, Leilani. It was just a joke.
Yeah, I
He might pet you. I don't know.
Now that I think about it, probably not. I'll give you a nice firm pat on the back, though.
Hugs are free.
Thank you.
Hugs are free.
Hugs are free. I'm a hugger. Everyone knows this.
All right, buddy. You ready to get down into this thing then?
Yeah, no pets.
No pets. Just hugs.
Just hugs and firm handshakes.
And overlong, lingering eye contact that may or may not make you uncomfortable.
With one eyebrow up.
So anyway, the story of the Varginha UFO incident begins in mid-January 1996 when locals in the Varginha area began reporting strange lights in the sky. Now, these aren't very interesting witness accounts, just, hey, there's some weird lights going on. The interesting stuff begins on January 13th when college professor and amateur ultralight pilot Carlos de Souza saw a UFO. Yes, Jacob.
Was it Friday?
I have no idea.
Okay. What year was it?
1996.
I will find out momentarily.
Right.
Continue.
De Souza describes the craft as being about the size of a school bus, but shaped like a submarine, which is a fairly typical description of a UFO. But, unlike most UFOs, this one was quite obviously in some trouble. For starters, it was pouring white smoke out of a gash in its rear end. And if your gash in your rear end is pouring white smoke, we all know that's not good. The wound in the ship was allegedly left by the United States military having fired upon the craft. Now, what the United States military was doing, shooting at UFOs in Brazil in 1996, none of us are privy to know, but allegedly that's what happened.
Saturday.
It was a Saturday. Good day for UFO crashes.
Best day.
Now, as further indication of the craft's impending doom, De Souza compared its flight to that of a malfunctioning washing machine, saying that it was rocking and jerking around in the sky. And if your flying thing is rocking and jerking around in the sky, that's probably not good.
Ground it.
So it was no surprise when the UFO then crashed into a field nearby. D'Souza ran to the crash site where he saw pieces of metal strewn across the field. He describes the metal as being similar to aluminum foil and says that he picked up a piece, crumpled it in his hand, and when he opened his hand, the piece immediately sprang back to its normal shape and smoothness, which is something anyone familiar with the Roswell case has heard before. D'Souza did not get to investigate further because almost immediately the Brazilian military arrived and ran his ass out of there at gunpoint, as they are wont to do. Now, 7 days later, January the 20th, 1996, for our domestic scorekeepers, 3 young women were walking through an empty lot between 2 houses when they spotted a creature just 8 feet away. The 3 were sisters Liliane and Valkyria Silva and their friend, Katia, Xavier. Liliane, who was 16 at the time, said she was a little ahead of her 2 companions and spotted the creature first. She says, quote, "Passing by here, the graffiti caught my attention. I looked and I saw the creature. It appeared to be suffering from the heat." End quote. Valkyria, 14 at the time, said, quote, "When Liliane screamed, I looked and felt fear. I was looking into its eyes and saw that it was frightened. Just as I was frightened, the creature was also frightened. I saw that it was afraid of us. It was an exchange of fears, it for ours. Afraid of us in the same way we are afraid of it, a being we weren't familiar with." The oldest of the group, at 21, Katia said, quote, "What I saw stopped me in my tracks. It glued me to that spot. It had red eyes, oily skin. I couldn't see an open mouth, not smiling, sad expression. Shrunken back. It didn't have hair. Eyes 3 times bigger than ours." Other eyewitnesses would add to this description that its skin was mostly a brown color, and they would, again, say that it was really oily. It had red eyes, according to them, though not everybody said that it had red eyes. Some said it were big, black-looking eyes.
Is it runny poo?
Runny.
Oily, runny, discharge.
It's greasy, sweating, I guess. It's hot in Brazil.
And poopy.
And this guy, he was
bad.
He was not having a good time in the heat, apparently. They said, he was very obviously not doing well. Which, if your ship gets crashed and then you're in the Brazil heat for a while, you might not be doing so good. Other people who reported to have seen the creature both at the time and later on through video and photographs that the military let them see, said it had not horns, but almost like giant zits or something on his fucking head. This guy was not a good looking fella. He was very, very ugly. Very ugly little guy.
Natural meanness.
Well, I'm just telling you what they saw. All right. Not throwing shade at the aliens.
Maybe he's a looker where he comes from.
He could be a very handsome fella where he comes from. But anyway.
But not here. He's ugly as shit.
Anyway. Deciding that it was best to be somewhere a little less extraterrestrially, Liliane fired up her Lamborghinis and Scooby-Dooed it the hell out of there, with the other 2 not far behind. So, them just took off running. After making it a safe distance away, the trio stopped for a "what the fuck was that" conversation, upon which they all decided that whatever it was they saw, it was no man or animal that they could readily identify. Liliane says, "We were the children of Catholics and thought it could be a demon. That's why we were so scared. Because if you're Catholic, everything's a demon. Just how that works." They decided to go to their mothers, which is something young people probably would do in that situation. Liliane and Valkyria's mother, Louisa, saw the girls coming and knew something was wrong just by the way they were walking towards the house, kind of dragging each other along, heads down. She just knew something is up with these girls. She went out to meet them, got the story from them, and made them take her back to the spot where they saw the little alien creature. Upon arrival, they were all immediately assaulted by a strong odor. Katia described it as an ammonia smell, while Louisa describes it as something else, something worse than sulfur. She said, quote, "For 20 days I smelled its smell. I couldn't stand the smell. I don't know where it came from. I even washed my nose with alcohol and water." End quote. That's an extreme method of scent removal from your schnoz.
It's the Jack Daniels nasal spray.
Yeah. Like neti potting with some fucking rubbing alcohol. Good God. Ooh.
Ooh.
So after this, they alerted the authorities and told their story to the press and were met with a lot of ridicule, as you can imagine. But 6 miles away from the crash site, the military had set up a blockade in a residential neighborhood. Anonymous sources claim that the local fire department, under the control of the military police, caught a creature similar in description to what the girls witnessed in the morning without incident. So the morning of the 13th, the fire department, with their blockade, catches one of these things. Later that afternoon, another of the creatures was caught near where the girls had their encounter. This one was captured by a young firefighter named Marco Charez. During the capture, Charez was scratched by the creature. So as he was trying to grab it up, it scratched him while it struggled to get away from him. Soon after, he began to grow ill and sought help at the local hospital. Hospital staff ran test after test and administered every medication they could think of, but Charez continued to decline until he ultimately succumbed to the mysterious illness. Dude died. Him got real sick, him died.
I got that.
That's sad.
Well, don't be trying to grab up little stinky aliens.
Paranatural PSA, don't wrestle the aliens.
Don't grab the stinkers.
There is another story. Okay, so that is most of what I could find that has anyone's name associated to it. Okay, that's most of the story where anybody's name has any bearing on what we're talking about. There are other stories, so one of which is the local sheriff at the time. He too was involved, and I think he grabbed onto the first alien to like help him load it or something, and his hands were permanently paralyzed. So the story that I read, he had accosted a UFO investigator. This is in 2012 when this happened, and had asked her what she knew about the Varginha incident. She said, "I don't know anything. I never investigated it, ... And he told her his hands were paralyzed, and she could see by the way he moved them that he had a hard time manipulating his hands. So there's that story. Another part of the story is that the extraterrestrials were apparently loaded into the backs of military vehicles, where they were subsequently taken to the medical unit of a nearby military base. By the time the creatures arrived at the base, as far as I could tell, both of them were dead. Now, according to what sources you look at, the first one might have been dead when they quote-unquote captured it. But for sure, both of them did not make it very far beyond where they were witnessed by the girls and all that stuff. Medical staff at the military base allegedly attempted to study the creatures, but were hampered in their efforts by a few different things. Firstly, the very pungent odor of the creatures made it nigh on impossible to be anywhere near them. So they had to don breathing equipment just to get near the damn things, because them were real stinky. Apparently, real. I don't think I can describe how stinky they were. Like an unwashed Sasquatch after it wrestled with a handful of skunks.
A gangrenous skunk fell into the geysers in Yellowstone.
Yes. Stinky. Just damn
Times 10.
stinky.
A Super Saiyan skunk.
The second issue with studying the creatures was that a lot of people who came in contact with them began to display signs of illness. Various illnesses, including nausea, headaches, blurred vision, numbness if they touched the creature, etc. None of them were alleged to have died, like poor Mr. Sherez, but there was a lot of strange illness that happened around the contact with the creatures. Third, once they got this far, is the fact that the physiology of the creatures was so vastly different from that of anything we know on Earth that the medical team didn't even understand what they were looking at. So it's just so weird they couldn't make heads or tails of it. Apparently him's guts were not where him's guts belonged. Or he had different kind of guts. I don't know what they were doing, but it was weird. Then, according to the story, sometime during the night, a Chinook helicopter, compliments of the United States Air Force, showed up, landed at the base, and took the aliens away. And that is the story of the Varginha UFO incident.
So we got some stinky fellas in a jar somewhere.
We do. We got some stinky fellas in a jar somewhere, probably at Wright-Patterson, because that's where they take them all. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Not Area 51. That's some horse shit. No. That's a distraction. They're all at Wright-Pat.
Careful, Ben. There's some black SUVs outside your window.
Ben says as if he knows what the fuck he's talking about, which I do not. I do not have any corroborating evidence to back up that very, very wild claim.
But fuck Area 51.
But if you listen to a lot of these UFO stories, it's Wright-Patterson. That's where they take them. All right, Jacob, any thoughts on the Varginha incident?
A couple.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so obviously extraterrestrial stink has a hand up on us. But when things are dying and sick, like you can get ulcers. Terrare. Okay, your story that you did on Terrare.
Ah, yes, that was a Patreon episode about a man who ate everything.
When he died, they found so many ulcers in his stomach, and they said the stench was unbearable. What if the fella, their physiology is completely different? What if he had ulcers on top of his pumpkin, and that's why they were so potent?
So that is actually like a theory that I had as well, is that the smell, I mean, number one, maybe they just smell that way. You actually hear a lot in different extraterrestrial encounters that there is a sulfurous smell. Extraterrestrial, even extra dimensional type encounters, that there is a sulfurous type smell. But if our air was doing something to this thing, and that's very well could be, he could have just been rotting right in front of him, which would not leave a lovely odor.
No, like even your average animal that's, rotting smells horrendous. So imagine a brown stinky dude from the stars. He's probably gonna smell a whole lot worse.
Right, and who knows what he is physiologically composed of.
Yeah.
And what smell it might make when it deteriorates in our oxygen. Hard to tell.
Yeah, I'm going with the rot theory. Like, they were not doing well, especially in the heat. Heat makes stink. And they said it wasn't horns, but like zits, which ulcers.
Correct.
He's just a rotten little fella. He's dying, and they died very quickly. So that's my theory.
Yeah, it's as good a one as I can come up with. Either that or, like I said, aliens and extra dimensional things. Maybe it just stinks where they come from.
No wonder they're coming here.
Maybe they think we're stinky.
Those dicks.
Yeah.
They probably don't have Old Spice, do they?
Nope. Maybe they think Axe body spray is the oh wait, so I think Axe body spray is one of the most horrendous scents ever invented. Anyway, kids, stop with the fucking Axe. Okay, get some real cologne, bathe. Okay, Axe is not shower in a can. Okay, bathe. You'll be fine.
Old Spice deodorant. That's what I was talking about. The shit they actually put on.
Yeah, use that. Use deodorant. Quit with the spray can stuff. Real cologne.
Too strong.
Yeah, way too strong.
Like, my nose doesn't work, but I can taste that shit, and it's bad.
Amen. All right, what?
Did you get a haircut?
Yeah, every day.
Nice.
Every other day. All right, enough about stinky aliens. So this story was sent from a listener, and I'm going to read it verbatim. They do prefer to remain anonymous, and that is something we will respect here on the show.
Anonymity.
Anonymity. I do understand why you would not want to come forward with such things, because you get ridiculed just like the girls in Varginha did. So.
Yeah, we share all our shit, and we don't care if someone ridicules us.
Yes, well, I don't blame other people for not wanting to have that happen to them. So, as such, I will read this verbatim as it was sent to me. All right, you ready, Jacob? Strap in. You're not strapped.
I don't have a seatbelt.
Ah, shit. Safety first, buddy.
I have a knife. We're good.
That'll work. All right. So our listener writes, I have an experience to share. I would prefer to remain anonymous, though. I told the story before and basically been told my pants should be burned to ashes from the flames engulfing them, so no need to relive that. LOL. I understand. I've been told I was full of shit many times myself, so like I said, we will respect anonymity here. She continues, so I am a bit of a medium, or at least very sensitive to the paranormal. I see dead people like a certain Bruce Willis film that shall remain unnamed. Every day of my life since I was about 5 years old. LOL. Spirits, angels, and demons. Several years ago, my sister and her boyfriend had been complaining of noises and activity in their home. Footsteps down the hall, things being knocked from shelves, etc. So, of course, my first question to her was, have you asked it to stop? No, she hadn't, so I said, well, do that forcefully. Let whatever it is know that this is your space, and they are not welcome. It's all about intent. She did. It apparently was unsuccessful, as she called me back the next evening. I thought she just lacked conviction, so I agreed to come down and take a look the following weekend, as it's about 2 hours away. I have helped many friends and family to cleanse their homes, and so I was familiar with the process and the like. So, down me and our mother go to check it out. Fully stocked with the typical house cleaning items. You know, sage, Palo Santo, etc. At first, it was just kind of a heavy feeling, and it seemed to just be a fleeting glimpse that you kind of see from the corner of your eye and kind of wonder if you'd seen it at all, sort of thing. But we went ahead with the cleansing anyway. The entire time, her naysayer boyfriend telling us how it wasn't anything and he didn't think it was going to work. Mind you, he lives there too, so of course it didn't work. Next day, she calls again. He's shaking and just really, really mad for no reason. Shocker. They had been fighting a lot. No, she says, he's like unreasonably angry. Okay. I asked her to turn on her video so I could take a look. Wish I hadn't. His eyes are almost completely black. He's daggone near frothing at the mouth. So I tell her, just keep telling him you love him and speaking to him. Hold his hand and do not let go. We are on the way. I recognize the look in his eyes, the feeling that pervaded through the screen when he looked at me. It's something I have felt before. My niece called it the bad thing. I will not name it. I refuse. We immediately stock up on fresh crystals, herbs, anointing oils, and let's just say it only took a little over an hour to get there. That's called speeding. That's not safe. But we pull into the driveway, and my car door will not unlock. I unlock it, and it locks again. Probably 3 or 4 times. Finally, I get it to open, and inside we go. The lights start to get really bright, like someone was playing with a dimmer switch, but they stay that way. I shit you not. He starts laughing. I don't mean like a giggle. I mean full-blown Ursula from the Little Mermaid type villain laughing. She says they're sorry, but it helps to make it funny, and yes, I agree. Anyways, so we start pulling out our stuff and setting up our circle, and the candles will not stay lit. It's like they are those trick candles you put on birthday cakes, but reversed. I'd get them lit, and they either immediately go out, or the candles, not small candles, but like the size of the 3-wick ones, or they would fall over and go out. So it took forever to get them to stay lit. Stuff is getting knocked down in the bathroom back the hallway, so I go to check it out. Everything in the shower shelf was on the floor of the tub. I don't bother picking it up yet. As I walk back out into the hallway, where the lighted living room was less than 50 feet away, I swear to you, it seemed like the hall stretched to be a mile long. Something big was blocking the light. This whole time, he, the boyfriend, is cussing like a sailor on shore leave, mind you, telling us to get the F out of his house, and he doesn't want us there. He doesn't need our help, and we can't do anything anyway. Just every negative thought that he could possibly think of. Even throwing a little bit of how overweight I am. I like the food a lot, LOL. And that's why my first husband didn't stay, etc. I stop in the hall and close my eyes for a minute, and when I open them, the hall is back to being small and short. I head back to the living room, and we begin to try a normal cleansing ceremony, knowing if it was what I thought it was, it wouldn't work, but it might just piss it off because at this point, it was just fucking annoying, LOL. So it didn't work at all. In fact, when we laid our hands on him to try and assert that he was ours and not open for tenants, he basically throwing up a spiritual no vacancy sign, I immediately was struck with a blinding headache, like what I'd imagine a frontal lobotomy would feel like. Pushing through it, we started a classic exorcism chant. It's been successful, and we believe wholeheartedly it's all about belief and faith in yourself and in your strength, and in this case, family ties and love, of course. So, mid-chant, I keep losing my place. I keep forgetting how to pronounce the words, as if I haven't done it before. I start over. 4 or 5 times, I had to start over. My nose starts bleeding, like a lot. Not too unusual, unfortunately, when I'm expending a lot of spiritual energy. It's the entity fucking with me. I know. But I know that I am stronger, so I keep going. I'm saging and chanting, and I look over, and her boyfriend locks eyes with me. This is where it gets fun. I am a very corpulent lass, as stated previously, and so it is no small feat that I was lifted and thrown down the entire length of the hallway toward the bathroom/bedroom, like a freaking movie special effect, like I got hit with an invisible supernatural car. I have to lay there for a minute because the wind was knocked out of me. I crawled back to the living room. All of us there laid our hands on him, and we were able to free him from the entity through power and prayer. And it was a little bit of a blur now thinking back on it, and I swear I don't know exactly how, but we managed to pull the entity and bind it as if we were not able to banish it. The jar was sealed with blessed wax and cloth and locked with binding runes, and let's just say no one will ever find it where it is hidden now. At least not until all of us are long, long gone. Anyways, that's only one of my many, many fun time experiences. It gets interesting. Hope it at least gave you a chuckle or some thought provocation. LOL. All right, so that was really weird. I think we got most of the story out, just so everybody knows. Just as I was finishing up reading all but the last little bit of this story that was sent to us, my computer completely glitched out. It has never done that before. So apparently this particular spooky specter didn't want its story told.
Too fucking bad.
So anyway, I'm going to finish this, Mr. Ghost. You will not deter us. The last little bit of the story here from our dear, dear listener reads, also, my brother says I have to mention this because it was freaking hilarious. Apparently, when my mom was trying to check on me after the trip down the hallway, she was holding a Palo Santo stick in her hand, and I thought she was trying to feed me something, and I bit it. I'm dying over here because I didn't remember that until just now when he mentioned it, or when she mentioned it. Like, in what world does that make sense? Now, I've never tried to bite into a stick of Palo Santo, but I can't imagine it's very tasty. So, anyway, I just want to say thank you for sending in your story. It was very cool to read. Very similar to a story of my own, sort of. Now, I didn't get chucked down a hallway or anything, but yeah, thanks a lot for sending it in. You know who you are. And if you listening now have any stories, please feel free to reach out to us. You can do it on all of the socials. You can do it through our website, paranaturalpodcast.com. Hit the contact section. Through our email, paranaturalpodcast@gmail.com. However you want to get a hold of us, please get a hold of us. We love your stories.
Honestly, we do. That was a fun story. And then with the computer crashing at the end, that just
a little bit creepy. A little bit creepy. I don't give a...
You don't?
See why I don't hit the buttons? I can't see them from here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much once again for spending time with us here on the Paranatural Podcast. Dear listener, we thank you again for sending in your story. You know we love you. Until next time, good night.
Thanks for the great story. Look forward to hearing more from you. Good night, everyone. We love you. Sleep tight.